You drink it every morning before you're even fully awake. You'd never miss it. But here's the thing. Most people have no idea what it's actually doing inside their brain. And when you find out, you'll never look at your coffee the same way again. This is how caffeine actually works. Caffeine is the most widely consumed psychoactive drug on the planet. Not alcohol, not nicotine. Caffeine. About 90% of adults use it daily in some form: coffee, tea, energy drinks, soda. We've normalized it so completely that we don't even think of it as a drug. But your brain absolutely does. So let's get into it. How it gets in you. Drink your coffee. Within 45 minutes, nearly all the caffeine in that cup has been absorbed through your gut and into your bloodstream. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is your brain's security system that blocks most substances with almost no resistance. Caffeine gets in easily. That's the first reason it's so effective. Peak levels in your blood hit somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes after drinking. That's when you feel it most. And it has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, meaning if you drink a coffee at 2 p.m., half of that caffeine is still in your system at 8 p.m. That's not nothing. What it actually does to your brain. Here's where it gets interesting and where most explanations get it wrong. You've probably heard that caffeine gives you energy or stimulates your brain. That's technically true, but it misses the real mechanism. Caffeine doesn't add energy. It blocks the signal that tells you you're tired. Your brain runs on a molecule called adenosine. All day long as your neurons fire, adenosine builds up as a byproduct. It attaches to adenosine receptors in your brain, and the more it builds up, the more sluggish and sleepy you feel. That feeling of tiredness? That's adenosine doing its job, telling your body it needs rest. Caffeine's molecular shape is almost identical to adenosine, so it slides into those same receptors and blocks them. Adenosine can't attach. The tired signal never gets through. You don't feel less tired because you have more energy. You feel less tired because the message was intercepted. This is why caffeine works so fast and so reliably. It's not creating anything new in your brain. It's blocking something that was already happening, the dopamine connection. But blocking adenosine isn't the whole story. When adenosine receptors are blocked, something else happens. Your brain's dopamine and norepinephrine systems, your motivation and alertness systems, become more active, not because caffeine directly triggers them, but because the brakes have been released. Adenosine normally dampens these systems. Remove that dampening effect and suddenly dopamine flows more freely. That's why caffeine doesn't just make you feel less tired, it makes you feel alert, focused, and in a mildly good mood. You're not hallucinating. That's real neurochemistry. Norepinephrine also gets your heart beating faster, dilates your airways, and increases blood flow to your muscles. Your body is being primed for action. For our ancestors, this would have been useful in high-stakes situations. For you, it's useful for getting through a Monday morning, why you crash, and why you need more over time. Here's the part nobody loves to hear. The adenosine that caffeine was blocking, it didn't go anywhere. It was piling up the entire time you felt alert and functional. The moment caffeine's effects start wearing off, usually 4 to 6 hours in, all that accumulated adenosine hits your receptors at once. That's the crash. It's not caffeine leaving your system that makes you tired. It's the adenosine debt coming due. And tolerance. Your brain is adaptive. It notices that its adenosine receptors keep getting blocked, so it does the logical thing. It grows more receptors. More receptors means you need more caffeine to block the same proportion of them. This is why the 2 cups that wrecked you as a teenager barely touch you now. Your brain literally restructured itself around your caffeine habit. This also explains withdrawal. If a regular caffeine user stops suddenly, they have a brain full of extra adenosine receptors and no caffeine blocking any of them. The headaches, the fatigue, the irritability. That's adenosine flooding an oversensitive system. It usually peaks at 20 to 51 hours after the last dose and resolves within a week. The sleep trap. There's also something worth knowing about timing. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours, meaning if you drink a coffee at 2 p.m., half of that caffeine is still circulating in your system at 8 p.m. Research from Matthew Walker's lab showed that even caffeine consumed 6 hours before bed reduces total sleep time by about 1 hour, and most people don't feel it happening. You fall asleep fine, but your deep sleep stages get cut short. And since deep sleep is when your brain clears metabolic waste, including adenosine, you wake up already behind, more tired than you should be. So you need more caffeine. The cycle continues. Is it actually bad for you? Straight answer. For most healthy adults, no, not at moderate doses. The research on caffeine is surprisingly positive. Moderate consumption, roughly 200 to 400 milligrams per day, about 2 to 4 cups of coffee, is associated with reduced risk of Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, and certain liver conditions. It's also consistently linked with improved cognitive performance, reaction time, and physical endurance. The problems come at higher doses or in specific populations. Above 600 milligrams daily, you're looking at anxiety, heart palpitations, insomnia, and elevated blood pressure. People with anxiety disorders, certain heart conditions, or who are pregnant should be careful. Caffeine has real effects on fetal development and cardiovascular stress responses. What you actually have. Here's the honest summary. Caffeine is a psychoactive drug that works by blocking your brain's tiredness signal, indirectly boosting dopamine and norepinephrine, and priming your body for alertness and action. It's remarkably effective, broadly safe at moderate doses, and has a well-documented tolerance and dependency mechanism. It's not cheating. It's not fake energy. It's a molecule that interacts with your brain in a specific, predictable way. And now you know exactly how. The question isn't whether to use it. The question is whether you're using it on your terms or whether it's using you. That's how caffeine actually works. If this was useful, subscribe. Every week, we break down exactly what's happening inside your body when you take something. No lectures, no moralizing, just the mechanism. Next up, what alcohol is actually doing to your brain.